Hey guys, welcome to a new video. So today I'm going to be talking about my income for this week, the distributions that I've been making, what's doing well, what's not doing well. So let's just get into it. So of course, we did have distribution announcements from YIELDMAX ETFs yesterday, last night, for where I am in Australia. And that is my best group because MSTY is still my biggest holding. And so I was hanging for that over the dollar mark, and they came in at just over the dollar. There was big questions whether they would keep that above the dollar range for this distribution, and they have. And whether they've actually made that money or they're just paying us that to keep everyone happy, to stop everyone from selling their MSTY shares, who knows? But they've managed to keep it above a dollar. It's not great, but considering where the market is, where MicroStrategy is, MSTR, where MSTY is in terms of share price, it's actually pretty good. Winter was a nicer price. If you're holding Winter, congratulations. I think that's over 100% distribution rate, so that's $3.29. SMCY, this is usually my best performing ETF, even better than MSTY more recently, but it's not had a good month. And so 91 cents, I think that's the lowest it's ever paid. LFGY was surprisingly good, 51 cents. And then you've got all the others, pretty average performance, not so good. A lot of people talking about NAV erosion. When there's NAV decline, then of course the distributions decline with it because they are based on the share value, the net asset value. ULTY though, everyone loves a bit of ULTY. Lots of ULTY holders, I believe, watching these videos. So 9 cents, it kept above that 9 cents mark. And I think giving the market, although it's been pretty green actually for tech and semiconductor and all sorts of different tech stocks, AI stocks, keeping above 9 cents is pretty good. But there's been a lot of volatility with the Fed and interest rate cuts and what's the economy doing and Trump, and it's been a bit all over the place, hasn't it? But yeah, so I'm fairly happy with that because we'll get into it. MSTY, as I said, my biggest holding. I did sell some of my shares in terms. The only reason I did that was to rotate into MSTW because I want that uncapped upside from the ROUNDHILL MicroStrategy ETF, which is MSTW. So I did sell a small portion of my MSTY shares and rotated them into MSTW because I want that uncapped upside. That's the one thing that I don't really love about YIELDMAX is because the NAV does decrease a little bit and it makes it harder for the NAV to recover when there's a distribution because the upside is capped. You're not getting the full upside of the underlying. So in MSTY's case, when MicroStrategy hopefully starts to go up with a Bitcoin bull run that I believe is coming in Q4, not a crystal ball, not financial advice. Please do your own research. When MicroStrategy eventually, I think it's in a kind of a bottoming buy zone right now. When it eventually goes back up, MSTY is not going to capture all of that upside. It's going to capture about 60, 70% maybe. Whereas MSTW, which is a leveraged ETF, 120%, 1.2 times the returns of the underlying, which is MicroStrategy, it will go up a lot more. It will go up if MicroStrategy goes up 10%, then MSTW will go up 12%. So for me, I just really like that. And that's why I've been rotating and investing into a lot of these ROUNDHILL funds, as you can see. And maybe the channel shouldn't be called YIELDMAX and Chill anymore because it's getting very much like ROUNDHILL and Chill. Although still the majority of my investment is actually in YIELDMAX. It just looks smaller, but MSTY is still my biggest position. Coney is still a very, very large position. And so I'm still in it. I still believe in a lot of these funds. And that's why I've been consolidating my YIELDMAX stuff to just the particular ETFs that I believe in. And so MSTY, $1.01, we stayed above the dollar. That's paying me just over 8,000 Australian dollars net because, of course, they take out, the brokerage takes out 15% withholding tax because I'm here in Australia. They hold that. This is the net amount that I get in Australian dollars. SMCY, not as good as last month. I think last month, what did it pay SMCY? It had two payments because it was that Group D and it was $1.85 and $1.30 and I was making over $2,000. So $2,000 and it's gone down to 1,400. So it's a bit of a dip there for SMCY. It's not been doing too well. But I still believe in the company. I think it will do well in the months to come, especially as liquidity gets injected into the market. We have more interest rate cuts. I really believe that SMCY the underlying, will do well. And I think SMCY will recover quite nicely. So I'm holding that and actually buying the dip a little bit. XYZY, 27 cents. It's pretty awful, to be honest. 61 bucks. Still, it's an okay position. I'm holding it. LFGY, this is actually a surprise because MSTY and MicroStrategy and a lot of the holdings that go into the LFGY fund are crypto treasury companies, Bitcoin or tech kind of companies. And it's done really well. It's done better than, I think this could be a record weekly payment for LFGY. So I was quite surprised at how well that did. 318 Australian dollars net for myself. So that's 51 cents for that payment. And ULTY, it's been very consistent, hasn't it? Look at this. For the last 4 weeks, it's basically just been hovering over this 9-cent range and it's just paying consistent amounts. So for me, over the last 4 weeks of ULTY, that's $926. Can't really argue too much with that considering the market's been kind of volatile up and down. Now, what else? ROUNDHILL. I've been investing and actually reinvesting my distributions more into ROUNDHILL than I have into YIELDMAX because I just really like the uncapped upside. I just believe that if Robinhood does well, which it did, it entered the S&P 500, and now I've captured all of that upside. I've got an average share price of $62.94, and the HOOW ETF, the Robinhood ROUNDHILL ETF, is now trading at about $71, $72, I believe. So I've not only got like $1,000 of upside increased share price, but I've also got the distributions that come with it, and it does do really well. I think it was around 80% this week, but with these ones, they're much more volatile in how much they pay each week. It really does depend on what the underlying's doing. You'll see it from Coinbase and MicroStrategy, like depending on what they're doing from week to week. Like, see, for instance, the new MicroStrategy is quite a new one for the ROUNDHILL guys, and look, you'll see the distributions 45 cents down to 35 cents, up to 51, up to 84. So it's quite a big disparity. It's not very consistent with what it pays out. And that is the thing with ROUNDHILL, is we're really going for both growth, the uncapped upside, to try and capture as much of that as possible, as well as the distribution. But you're not going to get consistent returns. That is the kind of the drawback, if you like, if that's a drawback for yourself. For me, I just really like the fact that it's paying distributions as well as capturing some growth. We get that uncapped upside, and it's got that extra bit of leverage. And I think that 120% is really the sweet spot, and that's what I really like about the ROUNDHILL weekly ETFs. Okay, and then we did, PLTW did all right, MVDW I hold, but yeah, they're my big ones. HOOW, Coinbase, MicroStrategy. I'm bullish on Bitcoin and crypto, as you probably know. Yes, that's the Ethereum one, and it will show actually as to what I've been buying this week. So, I'm bullish on crypto, and so I've got Coinbase. That is the GRANITESHARES Coinbase ETF, which has a very high yield distribution rate, if you like. It was paying 180%. I did a video on it. I was like, you got to get into this, or not get into it. It's not financial advice, but I was like loving the KOI ETF. And then as soon as I said it's paying 180%, they dropped it to 150% that like the next day or something. So I think it's still paying around 150%, which is just incredible. It's like silly money. But of course, you have to navigate the NAV. Now, these are put spread strategy on these, but because I'm bullish on Coinbase, I think it's going to do really well in Q4. I'm still reinvesting my distributions into that, also into MSTW, also into the Coinbase ROUNDHILL ETF to try and capture that upside. So the way I look at it is the GRANITESHARES, these are all good. These are all high distributions because they use a leverage 2 times ETF to make their income. So that's how they're paying 150% for KOI, 100% for NVYY, which is the NVIDIA one, and like 140% for TSYY, which is a Tesla one. So this is all high income, right? High yield. And this is growth and income, mainly. So it's the combo of the two. And that's why I like this for kind of growth and a bit of income. And I like this for high income. But for these, you've really got to get into a low point. Actually, Tesla, I did that really well. I got in at 818. It's been paying me nice weekly amounts, nothing too crazy because I didn't put in a huge position, but it's now trading at 850 because Tesla's been doing pretty well over the last 2, 3, 4 weeks. So yeah, but Coinbase, but they pay, the distribution rates are crazy. So I'm getting at least 500 a week, I think, from these GraniteShares ETFs, and then MST. Nothing to write home about. It's not, MicroStrategy has been tanking. So whatever you're holding with MicroStrategy, and that's probably my biggest high income holding. Obviously, I hold MSTY, I hold MSTW, and I also hold MST. And MSTI has not been doing well, and that's the reason. I see lots of things. Why is Misty down today? Well, one, because the underlying MSTR MicroStrategy has been doing really badly. It's at a really low share price at the moment, but also because today is or will be ex dividend date. So the distribution on Misty, say Misty, I think was stock trading at around $15.20, $15.30 last night. Then that's actually the distribution. See here, I think it's 15.20, 15.30. So that distribution, $1 is going to be taken out of the share price. So it's going to go down to 14.20, 14.30, somewhere around there. And so the share price is going to go down. And that's either a good opportunity, a good buying opportunity, which I believe it is, because I still believe in MicroStrategy as a company, as a Bitcoin treasury company. And I believe that that will recover very nicely going into Q4. So you either see that as, oh no, the world's going to like all hell's breaking loose. I've got to get rid of my Misty. I've got to get out of this. I'm going to sell down at $14, $15. Or you go, this is a great buying opportunity. I believe that MicroStrategy will do well towards the end of this year, and I'm going to ride this out and just buy more and treat this as an opportunity. And that's what I essentially do. Okay, so what does this look like in terms of weekly income? Now, please bear in mind that this is my best week. Group D is really my best week by a long shot. Like Misty is my biggest holding. If you see here, I make $8,000 from Misty. I don't make anything near that from the other my other holdings within YIELDMAX. So it's a bit of a skewed week in my favor when we look at the weekly income, because if you go straight here, your eyes are going to go straight to the $13,900. And that is incredible. I'm so happy that I can obviously achieve that, even though Misty is down a lot, MicroStrategy is down a lot, crypto's down, had been tanking a little bit this week. But that is an incredible amount of money to be making over a week. But as I said, this is my big week. I don't make anywhere near that during the other weeks of Group C, Group B, Group A of the YIELDMAX ETFs. So it is really this guy here, 8,000 SMCY. That's one of my biggest holdings as well. So it's these two guys that really bring up my weekly income for this week, the Group D announcement week. Because all of this is weekly. So GraniteShares is weekly, ROUNDHILL is weekly. So all this, 3,614, I'm going to make that roughly every single week because they are weekly payers. But these, MSTY, SMCY, these change every time, and I don't get paid this every week. So this changes. So this is a bit skewed, 13,905, because I'm obviously not making that every week. But nevertheless, it's a great result. I'm very happy with it. But this is what I'm making. So 542 from the GraniteShares. I love COI. It's the Coinbase GraniteShares YIELDBOOST ETF. Big believer in it, as I said. NVYY has actually been doing really well. I like that fund a lot. And actually really like, they brought out a couple of new ETFs this week, I think. I think the MicroStrategy was one, and there was another one. Can't remember what it is. Let me know in the comments if you can remember, but I can't. Then Defiance, I just got a really small position in that. Not, it's very leveraged position, and I was just kind of testing it out, and it's MicroStrategy's been tanking, so it's done awfully. So basically forget about that. And then of course you've got the ROUNDHILL ETFs. These are the ones that I've really been rotating my distributions and reinvest them into these ROUNDHILL weekly ETFs. I've got YETH, which I'm a believer in. I think Ethereum dipped this week, and I actually reinvested back into it with a small portion. And I think that's going to do really well over the next 3 or 4 months. If you have been researching Ethereum, what it's doing in terms of blockchain technology, what it's doing for smart contracts, DeFi, finance, the new finance movement, technology sector, it's going to probably do very well. So I'm pretty bullish on YETH and Ethereum. Robinhood, it's just been doing so well, and as crypto gets better, Robinhood's kind of trying to do what Coinbase does, and Coinbase is trying to do what Robinhood. So I'm bullish on both, and I think those are good positions. MicroStrategy, it's sinking, it's tanking, it is what it is. Either treat it as an opportunity or get out of it. I myself am treating it as an opportunity, so I'm reinvesting a lot of my dividends into MSTW at the moment. AMDW, AMZW, so that's obviously AMD. This is Amazon. PLTW, that's been doing pretty nicely. NVDW, it's just all the same ones that were in YIELDMAX, and I've just been rotating them into ROUNDHILL basically. And then, of course, you've got your YIELDMAX ones. So a very good week. Now, what do I do with this money? So these distributions. Well, $27,000 a month, and we've got another few announcements coming this week, mainly the ROUNDHILL ETFs for next payment on Tuesday. So this is pretty much my monthly earnings. I might make an extra 3.5K. So I'm expecting around $30,000, which is incredible. What do I do with that? Well, I try and live off as little as possible because, like a lot of people, I want to try and reinvest as much as possible back into the market. So I try and live off, for me and my family, we have 2 little kids, about $12,000 every month. So I take out about $12,000 and I try and reinvest the rest. And what am I reinvesting in at the moment? It's a lot of crypto, ETFs, COIW, MSTW, Coinbase, YETH, which is the Ethereum one, or whatever else is performing well, or whatever I think is going to do well over the next 3, 4, 5, 6 months, whatever it's going to be. A lot of people ask me if I drip. I don't drip because I like to have full control. I like to buy when something's dipping, say Bitcoin's dipping and MicroStrategy's dipping. Off the back of it, then I'll buy into MSTW. If Nvidia's dipping, if it drops like 3%, then I'll probably buy NVYY or NVDW. If on ex-dividend date, for example, I'm not reinvesting into MSTY at the moment, but today, tonight, or Thursday night, depending on where you are, would be a good time because ex-dividend date, this amount is going to be pulled out of the MSTY ETF. And so it's going to be trading around $14.20, $14.30, I don't know, something around there. And that's a good opportunity to buy, in my opinion. But I personally prefer MSTW because of that uncapped upside. So that's what I do. I take out $12,000 roughly, depending on what we need for each month. And then I reinvest the rest. I'm trying to always increase my net asset value and, of course, the distribution amount that I make each month so that I can then continue that process. Reinvest, make more, reinvest, make more. Essentially, it's just that's the cycle of my investment thesis, I guess. Okay, so that's what I made. It's amazing. Can't complain. Beautiful stuff. I just wanted to draw your attention to this because I think I've talked about it before. But I found them on Twitter, dividendhook.com, and it's just a really nice website for high income ETFs. And it starts with this leaderboard. So it shows you what every fund is making, regardless of what fund manager it is. So here you've got the GRANITESHARES, one's leading the charge, COI and TSYY, so Coinbase and Tesla. Then you've got MSTW, that's ROUNDHILL. HIMI, don't know, is that a new? That's a new one. Is that I'm not sure what that is, HIMI. XBTY, I think that is also GRANITESHARES. That's GRANITESHARES, I hold that. That's Defiance, I hold that. ULTY is everyone very popular. So anyway, it's just really nice to see in a kind of a leaderboard what the yield is, what shares you would need to make $1,000 a month, price, and then it gives a scoring system as well. And you can also create your own armada. So you can like do all these put these over here. I think you just go like, okay, so coin, I'm adding that. Oh, wait, I've got to move it over. And then you can start calculating what you need, how many shares you need to make your income or your income goal, I guess it is. I haven't actually done it, but it looks really cool. Treasure map, they got this treasure map. So, okay, here you go. You go here, treasure map, and it shows you a map of every single high income ETF. You can scroll down and see what's doing really well, what's at the top. And then you can do like, so you can search for your favorite ETFs and then go say MSTY and then be like, what's the next estimate payout prediction? All these sort of stats that give you implied volatility, 293%. Don't know if that's right. I'll double check that. That doesn't sound right to me. But you can be like, how many shares do I own? So I own 1,000 shares. Actually, I own 6,000. So let's see that. 6,000. And they'll say your next monthly dividend based on the estimated annual payout without compounding. Do all these calculations, like if I reinvest 50%, what's it going to be? Like, it's just really cool website. So just a shout out to them. I thought I'd share that because I think it's really useful if you're getting into these and want to do a bit of research in terms of if you're investing into what it's going to look like in terms of your distributions and your income. So just a really nice website to take a look at. And of course, the leaderboard. It's pretty cool. All right. Well, that kind of summarizes that. Obviously, a great week for me in terms of income. And yeah, let's see what next week brings. But hope you like that. If you've got any questions, let me know in the comments. And if not, I'll see you in the next video. Cheers, guys.